Good morning, ma'am.
Good
Good
morning.
ma'am.
How are you all?
Fine, ma'am.
Fine,
How are
ma'am.
you, ma'am?
I'm fine. One second. I'll just admit you all and then I'll start. So, today, as we are starting our theme 2, so we are going to start with a new lesson, which is the classification of organisms. Okay. So, it will be a little bit new to you. So, in this new topic, we are going to discuss about more interesting things. So, coming to the classification of organisms, children, what is the need of classification of organism? Why we need to classify them? Why we need to keep them in groups? So, if you see around you, there are millions of species. There are millions of living organisms which are living around you, isn't it? So many species. So if it will be hard for you to remember. It will be hard for you to classify, to distinguish them, to separate them, which comes under what type of organism, what type of animal comes under this group. So especially if you see in your state, you call the animal with one name. If you go to another state, so there the language will be different and the animal will be called with some other name. So there will be a problem in naming the things. So to clear this, to make it easy, what the scientists have done is they have classified the organisms. They have given the names. They have classified them into different groups, different species, and they have given them a scientific name for that. In the whole world, wherever you go, they'll be called with a scientific name. Okay, so the organisms are divided into categories called the taxonomy. The living organisms are classified into groups. So this classification is called as taxonomy. Okay, children. So this taxonomy and systematics, this classification is called as taxonomy and systematics. While taxonomy deals with describing and classification and naming of organisms, systemics deal with grouping and arranging the described described taxonomy into hierarchical classification by determining the evolutionary relationship of organisms. If you want, you can write it down. Note it down in your books, children. The branch of biology that deal with classification are called as the branches of biology that deals with classification are called taxonomy and systematics. The branches of biology that deal with classification and that deals with classification are called as taxonomy and systematics. Taxonomy spelling TAXONOMY and systematics spelling SYSTEMATICS, systematics. So these are the branches of biology which deal with classification. So the taxonomy, if you see, it deals with the classification of naming of organisms. Taxonomy deals with naming of organisms. while systematics deal with grouping and arranging the described taxa into hierarchical classification. Okay, so now if you see what is the need for classification of living organisms, you all can see this slide properly. One second, I'll just increase it. Now you all can see it. Please keep your cam, children, so that I can see you all. Keep your camera. We all have given you the instructions to keep your camera on during the online classes. Okay, so now we'll see what is the need for this classification of living organisms. As the living organisms has evolved on the earth, they are on the earth from so many millions of years ago. So they are living. There's a vast variety of living organisms. So these living organisms, they show variations. There are so many variations in these living organisms. Like if you see in animals, lion, there are so many animals, there are so many wild animals, there are domestic animals, so they are again categorized as domestic, wild, birds, okay, isn't it? Insects, small insects, again in this there will be a lot of difficulty in remembering each and everything. So if you see some microscopic bacteria, microorganisms, there are so many minute microorganisms, and even they are so big, like whales. If you see the water animals, if you see there are so many big animals also, like elephant, whales. Okay, so these whales, if you see the water animals, their habitat is different. They live in water. Again, land animals are different, so there will be a lot of difficulty in remembering each and everything. Their size is different. So if you see, coming to trees, the pine tree, they live for thousands of years, while insects like mosquitoes, they die within a few days. Their lifespan will be very small. Mosquitoes' lifespan will be very less. They die in a few days. And some organisms, one second, some organisms are colorless and transparent, and some are brightly colored, like butterflies. If you see, they are very colorful, isn't it? If you see some organisms, they are colorless. If you see sea animals, like if you see some fishes, some sea animals which live in sea, they are colorless, if you see, and some fishes, they are very colored. So we see some differences here. We see some variations in these organisms. To understand and study all these organisms is impossible. So scientists made it possible by classifying them into groups and naming them. So this classification of living organisms is nothing but the arranging of organisms into different groups on the basis of similarities in their characteristics is called classification of living organisms. Just note it down, children, please. Classification of living organisms. Note it down in your notebook. Just keep your cam so that I can see you. Note it down, everyone. Classification of living organisms. So note it down, classification of living organisms. The arranging of organisms into different groups on the basis of similarities in their characteristics is called classification of living organisms. Yes, you all have noted it down. Finished, everyone? So if you see the basis of classification of living organism, what is the basis for this? The main characteristics which are considered for classification of living organisms into different groups are why we have to classify them, whether we must know whether they are prokaryotic or eukaryotic cells. So firstly, we must know whether they are prokaryotic or eukaryotic, and whether the cells occur single or they are grouped together, and they live as indivisible group. And even to know whether they produce their own food by photosynthesis or get their food from outside, and to know the organisms which produce their own food like plants, and what is the level of organization of their body. And if you see the animals, the basis of classification of animals is the level of organization of their body, how the special organs which they have and their functions, depending on the special organs and the level of organization of their body, depending on that animals are classified. How animals are classified? Animals are classified depending on their level of organization of their body and what their special organs they have and the functions these organs perform. Depending on that, the animals are being classified again. And if you see the characteristics used for classification of plants will be different from the characteristics from the classification of animals. Okay, understood? The characteristics, the classification of plants will be different from the classification of animals, because plants make their own food and animals get their food from outside. Okay, animals cannot prepare their own food, as we all know that, isn't it? Understood till here? Why? What is the need of classification and everything? Is this clear till now, till here? Okay. So these plants and animals, the classification is different based on their food. Plants prepare their own food, and animals, they get their food from outside. They depend on plants for their food. So here if you see Carolus Linnaeus, he is a Swedish botanist. He lived from 1707 to 1778, and he invented binomial nomenclature. He has invented, stop yawning Lasya, you can cover your mouth. This is really bad. So this Carolus Linnaeus, he invented binomial nomenclature, the two-word naming system we still use today to classify organisms. He is called as the father of taxonomy. He is called as the father of taxonomy. So now if you see the main feature of this type of classification, children, each animal and plant is described. So you want to know a few more things about this scientist. The scientific grouping of organisms have some specific advantages. So if you see what are the advantages of these grouping of the organisms, it makes the study of living organisms convenient. It helps the scientific identification of a given organism. So what is the need? If you just ask what is the need of this classification or what is the need of this grouping, the need of it is it makes the study of living organisms easy. And even it helps in scientific identification, in specific identification of the given organism. The study of a few distinct groups like the sea animals or the distinct animals which are we cannot see now. So to preserve them, to know about them, the study is, it helps in study of the distinct groups. It reveals the relationship among various group of organisms. And if you see here, the Carolus Linnaeus, the botanist, who has invented the Linnaean system of classification. He devised a uniform system of classifying organisms. The main feature of this type of classification were each animal and plant described has a specific name, and this name would be started with any other organism. This name must not be shared. So if you see this hierarchy of classification, children, if you see here on your screen, the hierarchy of classification is given. So here the living organisms has been broadly classified into 5 main kingdoms. They are Monera. So these are the 5 kingdoms. So in this classification, how we are going to classify now, how we are going to classify all these organisms. So we are going to classify, firstly, the kingdoms are there. The scientists have classified, they have grouped it in the kingdom. First, they have made it into kingdoms. In this kingdom, 5 kingdoms are there: Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, animalia. So please note it down in your books, children. The hierarchy of classification, please note it down. The living organisms has been broadly classified into 5 main kingdoms. They are Monera, the first kingdom; Protista; fungi; plantae; and animalia. So here each kingdom has been further classified into smaller subgroups. So firstly, they have arranged in this classification, they have arranged the groups and subgroups, like first the kingdom and then the phylum. Phylum for plants will be different. We write phylum for plants and we write division for animals. If we are writing for animals, after kingdom we write division if it is written for animal. And if it is written for plants, we write phylum. After kingdom, phylum, then class, then order, then family of that plant. If we are writing for plants, we write kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species for that particular plant. And if you are writing for animals, we write kingdom, division, class, order, family, genus, and species of that particular animal. Okay, so here like this, we will classify a particular animal or a particular plant by arranging the organisms on the basis of hierarchy and characteristics into smaller and smaller groups. We arrive at the basic unit of classification. So it made easy to classify, to name a particular organism or animal or plant. Okay. Now, if you see kingdom, what is a kingdom? Why they have kept all these groups? Now, firstly, if you see this kingdom, it is the topmost taxonomic category. If you see this kingdom, it is the topmost taxonomic category. For example, all animals are included in kingdom Animalia, and all plants are included in kingdom Plantae. Okay. And now if you see phylum, what is a phylum? It is the taxonomic category below kingdom and above class. Above class, the phylum, we write the phylum for plants. It denotes uh, a group of classes of organisms with similar distinctive characteristics. Organisms in a phylum share a set of characteristics that distinguish them from organisms in another phylum. They distinguish. The names will not be same for each and every plant. Their characteristics will differ. For phylum Chordata of animals has class Mammalia along with birds, reptiles and amphibians. Okay, for phylum Chordata of animals. For animals, the phylum Chordata of animals has class Mammalia along with birds. We'll further discuss what is Mammalia and what are chordates. Okay, and now coming to class, children. In this class, what we define, one or more than one order makes a class. For class Mammalia, it includes all the mammals like bats, rodents, kangaroo, whales, great apes, and man. What are mammals, children? Mammals are nothing but who give birth to young ones. Who give birth to young ones like bats, kangaroo. They have small babies. They give birth to young ones. They don't lay eggs. Do kangaroos lay egg? No. Do rodents lay egg? No. They give birth to young ones. And they feed. They by a process called milking. They milk their young ones. Okay. So they come under mammals. They are called as mammals. They have mammary glands for milk their young ones. So even they can give birth to their young ones. And now coming to order, children. After class, now comes the order. What is the order? In this order, one or more than one similar families constitute an order. Family Felidae are included in order Carnivora. So we'll see further how what comes under this order. Okay, now after order, we write family. So in this family, we write the similar collection of similar genera, plural form of genus. We write the collection of genus, a particular genera in this family. For example, cats and leopards are included in this family Felidae. Cats and leopards are included in the family Felidae. Okay. Now, at last, now comes the genus and species. If you see this genus, it is the category below family and above species. In this, it groups the species with common features that are structurally similar. Structurally similar, for example, lions and tigers are different species, but are same genus, but of same genus due to their common attributes. Both lions and tigers are placed under genus Panthera. Both lions and tigers are placed under genus Panthera. Panthera is the genus. Now coming to species, children, the most basic category in the system of taxonomy. It is a group of organisms that are similar in form and shape and can reproduce with each other in nature and produce fertile offsprings. So in this species, what we keep in this species, how we categorize in this species, it is a group of organisms that are similar in form and shape and they can reproduce with each other in nature. Okay, so they are kept under this species. Is this clear, children? One second. So here if you see the nomenclature, all the living organisms have been given scientific names which can be used to identify them. Anywhere in the world, wherever you go in the world, you can identify them. You can call them with a specific scientific name. If you want to tell anybody, if you're talking to somebody, then if you want to name a particular animal, you can identify it by using its scientific name. The system of scientific naming of an organism is called as binomial nomenclature. Please note it down in your notebook, children. The system of scientific naming of organisms is called binomial nomenclature. So the binomial nomenclature consists of two parts. The first part is the name of the genus and second part is name of the species. The system of scientific naming or nomenclature we use today was introduced by Carolus Linnaeus. The system of scientific naming or nomenclature we use today was introduced by Carolus Linnaeus. Example, the scientific name of human beings is Homo sapiens. One second, children. The scientific name of human beings is Homo sapiens. Homo is the name of genus and sapiens is the name of species. Okay, is it clear? For human beings, for all human beings, we have a scientific name for human beings is Homo sapiens. If you want, you can write it down. Please note it down in your notebooks. The scientific name of human beings is Homo sapiens. Homo is the name of the genus and sapiens is the name of species. So I'll show you how it is being written. I'll give you a few examples also, how the nomenclature is being given and how you will write the classification, Linnaean classification for a few species. So, one second. So this is the Linnaean classification. For in this classification, we can see here on the screen for lion, how you'll write. For lion, we write the kingdom, Animalia, because it comes under the kingdom of animals. Lion is an animal, so its kingdom is Animalia. And phylum, for lion, we write Chordata. Chordata is nothing but it has a backbone. Okay, Chordata. Chordate is nothing but a backbone. It has a backbone. And class, Mammalia. Mammalia is it has well-developed flesh-cutting teeth. Mammalia, in the sense they are capable of giving birth to young ones. They have mammary glands. And it has been placed in order Carnivora because it is a carnivorous. Okay? Because it is a carnivorous. One second, children. I'll just change this one here. One second. Here, a slight change is there. If you want, you can write it down, children. Class, for lion, write it down. Kingdom, Animalia. Phylum, Chordata. And class, Mammalia. Write it down. Has fur. Has mammary glands. Please note it down, children. And nurses its young one. It's young. Nurses its young babies. Okay. Are you all writing? So lion is kept under family Felidae. So this Felidae is nothing but they have claws that can be retracted. They have claws. They kept under family Felidae. And if you see the genus, the lion is kept under the genus Panthera. Means they can roar but cannot purr like cats. Lions, they roar. And if you just see the species, for lion, they are kept under the species Leo. All lions can mate and produce fertile offsprings. So here you can write about a particular animal in this manner. In Linnean classification, so these animals are classified. So if you want to write the classification, you have to write the kingdom of that particular animal, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. You have to write all these. So based on these, based on these scientific name, this scientific naming is same around the world, wherever you go. Okay. And if you see here for humans, humans are kept under the kingdom Animalia and phylum Chordata, because humans also have backbone, isn't it? And class Mammalia. They even have hair, mammary glands, and they can even nurse its young one. Okay, humans can also have young ones. And humans are kept under order primates. Primates is nothing but they have eyes, face forward, gasping hands with fingers. Okay, and family Hominidae. Hominidae is nothing but upright posture, large brain, flat face, different use of hand and feet. And if you see genus, Homo, and species, Sapiens, as we have discussed it earlier in a class, genus, Homo, and Sapiens, species. Homo is nothing but S-curved spine, recognizable as humans. Sapiens is nothing but high forehead, well-developed chin, thin skull bones. Okay, if you want, you can note it down, children. I'll just increase it in size. Note it down. Linnean classification for lion and for humans. Finish? Okay, so here if you see, Robert Harding Whittaker, a distinguished American plant ecologist, was the first to propose the five kingdom taxonomic classification of the world's biota. So the five kingdom classification, the flowchart, if you see here, the flowchart which you can see on the screen. So this five kingdom classification was given by Robert Harding Whittaker. So he is the plant ecologist, distinguished American plant ecologist, who was first to propose the five kingdom taxonomy. Okay, in this, he has included Plantae, fungi, Protista, Animalia, and Monera. So he has given this kingdom classification, five kingdom classification in 1969. So children, please note it down in your notebooks. So there, keep your cam. Varun, I can't see you all. Hemashri, Mahima, Ritvika, where is your cam? Please note it down in your books. If you have any doubts, you can raise your hands. You have any doubts? Raise your hands if you have any doubts. So I'll be asking you a few questions tomorrow. I think we don't have class tomorrow, next week. So please go through this lesson. You all have noted it down, the flow chart. Okay. So please go through this lesson so that you can be able to give me the answer for questions which I ask you next week. Everything is clear, children? Linnean classification, nomenclature, and about this kingdom, phylum, class, order, how to write everything. I'll show you